Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of Why You Worried About It. We are on a journey. It's a podcast journey towards a better you. I'm Lindsay Bush, and I'm HR Director with Country Crossroads Counseling.
And hey, everybody, I am Susie Arbo, and I am a licensed professional counselor and on this journey to a better everybody, if you will, right?
Absolutely.
We're learning and we're growing, and our mission at Country Crossroads Counseling is just get the word out about mental health and just helping people live their best lives. And we started this podcast as just kind of a way to, help people and help ourselves.
Yep. Reach out to more people than just the people in our little area here, because we're always trying to do everything here, but there's so many more people out there that want to hear things. And so all the tips and tricks and podcasts are such a good way to do it because you can do it anytime, anywhere. Have your little earbuds in. I see people all the time now, even at the grocery store, walking around with their little earbuds in. And I'm like, that's awesome. So it's such an easy way to really make a big difference to help yourself. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said that people are using their earbuds. I was getting my nail done and I had my little earbuds in and I was listening to positive things. So I love it. And you can listen to it when you're doing laundry, working out, going for a walk. Like it's good stuff. And if anybody wants to hear anything, like we've gotten some really cool feedback. We want to hear the good, bad, and everything, as far as if there's anything we can cover, anything that we can improve on. We are, like we always talk about, we're on this journey too.
That's right.
Yeah. So today, we always kind of try to figure out like what's relevant, like what's going on for people. We've talked about seasonal affective disorder recently. We've talked about finances, the holidays, all those kinds of things. And I happened on to a really good book that I wanted to share. And I love to learn and I love to read. I actually do a lot of audibles, and I just feel like there's so much information out there now. Speaking of getting good information, and this book that I'm doing is from Mel Robbins, and I love Mel Robbins. I followed her for years. She's got such a cool story. She's really real, right? She's
Mhm.
really vulnerable. She'll tell you everything, and it's just so relatable. I feel like, but she has something called that she says she discovered is the let them theory. And I started that book. I'm only on chapter 6, but it has had such a profound, just even impact on, I feel like, me and my thoughts and everything. And I'm like, holy smokes, I wish I would have read this, you know what I mean, a couple months ago. And I just feel like it's such good information. And if you're not a reader, it's no big deal, or you don't do Audible books, like no big deal. Even just kind of Google it and look it up and kind of hear what it's about, because it is so good. And so I text Lindsay earlier. I'm like, do you care if we talk about the let them theory? Because it's so good. And I'll just kind of explain kind of what it is. It is all about things that we can control in life and things that we can't control. And ironically enough, that's why our podcast is called Why You Worried About It.
Yep. Fits right in. This is perfect.
Exactly, because there's so many things in life that we stress about that we don't have any control over, and then there's so many things that maybe there are things in our control that we can do something about. And so this book really talks about that, and she talks about how so many times in life we have our own emotions that are based upon other people, like what other people are doing, what they're saying, what they're not doing, if they're including us or not, if they are, being good friends or good family members to us, and we can let that really make us miserable.
Hmm.
And she talks, the whole kind of principle in the book is talking about let let them, like, let people be who they're going to be. And I know Lindsay and we've had conversations about this on this podcast, even about
Yes.
how sometimes we have expectations of people where we like think that they should behave in a certain way. And then we get so worked up because we're like, why didn't she say that? Or why didn't she do that? Or, whatever. And it has nothing to do with us.
Mm-mm. Nope. Everybody has so much that goes on in their own lives and their own the way they were brought up and the way that they learned how to react to things. And so it is really hard when you're so worried about how other people are acting or doing or saying. And I know for me, I'm terrible about that. Like if I have somebody in my life that I care about or I feel that maybe represents me even in a sense, and then if they're acting away or doing something that I don't like, it is so hard to get through my own thoughts of it's not me that's, making these choices. Like, yes, you can offer good advice, you can help them, but just because it's not how I would do it or how I would react doesn't mean it's right or wrong or indifferent. It's just not me. It's not, it's, and we all do things differently, which is why this is a wonderful place to be in this world. Like if we were all the same, it would be so boring. But it's hard. It's really hard to try to just understand why people are doing things or having reactions the way they do, and just allowing it and being okay with it. I think that's the hardest part. Even if you know that you're allowing it, but if you sit in your own thoughts and you're just like making yourself miserable about it, then you're not really allowing them to do it. Yeah, you might not be interfering, but now you're messing with your own mind and your own thoughts, and now you've ruined your own day, and that has a bigger effect probably than if you would have said something to that person. I mean, if you're miserable in your own thoughts, that's a pretty scary place to be. So, getting out of those, I think, is really important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And people usually, most people are doing the best that they can at any given time. Most people are good people in this world. Of course, there's a small percentage that, that maybe isn't, that that are vindictive or malicious, but it's very small percentage. Most people are doing the best they can. And a lot of times we behave based upon how we were raised
Mm-hmm.
and our early life experiences. And so sometimes we behave, maybe what we learned from our parents or whatnot, and it's not the same as other people. And I think that's kind of where people kind of get into trouble is, those expectations and whatnot. And um she just gives a lot of like really good examples in the book. Like she talks about some of her friends went on a trip, and then she starts looking at on Facebook and she sees them all together and they're all, on this trip together. And then she starts taking it personally. And she's like, why wasn't I on this trip? And then she starts questioning everything. And then she got in her own head. And then she was, feeling miserable. And then she talks about how then she came to a realization that, well, she's not as close to them anymore. Life has changed for her, and once she saw it, it had nothing to do personally or intentionally with her, just things were just different. And so she kind of had to go to the spot where she's like, let them, they should go and have fun and they deserve to do that. And she doesn't think anything bad about any of them. She loves them all, right? And it was just kind of fun because how often can we all like relate to that, where we've like been left out of something or something has happened or you see people doing things and you're like, well, why didn't they include me? Like that's weird. And it's really nothing to do with us. It's
Yeah.
everything. And so the second part of her thing that she always talks about, you say let them and you say it, to yourself. But then the other part that's the powerful part of it, she talks about saying, let me. So let me, respond. Let me have my feelings about this, but then let me do something about it. Right. And maybe that's let's reach out to some other friends that you're closer to now and let's take our own trip or let's do our own thing or, or reach out to those ladies and tell them that you hope that they had
Mm-hmm.
fun and whatnot. So it's just she has all these little examples and it's just so relatable that I thought it was so good. But we just get so upset sometimes about things that we can't control. And you can't change anybody's mind. You know what I mean? And so just letting them be who they're going to be and appreciating them for who they are.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to understand and to try to explain to yourself is allowing people to be themselves is okay. Not everybody needs to be like you or exact, like, and accepting them is really important. Like, just it's okay. It's okay if you have that one friend that always acts crazy and like, how it's going to be, and just accepting it instead of being, stuck in your thoughts about it or dreading it, or if you're going to be around somebody. And I mean, but you also can take control of it. If you're going to be in that situation, you're going to spend time with people, and you have a choice on how you look at it. You want to be miserable the whole entire time, or would you rather just have a better outlook about it and be like, you know what? This person is great for X, Y, and Z. Yes, maybe this kind of gets under my skin, but try to find those good things. I know we've joked about it where like if one of us in my close group maybe will say something negative about somebody and I'm like, okay, all right, that wasn't nice. Say three nice things. Think of three nice things about that person, or what's three positive things, maybe. And it really does make you stop and like, it's silly sometimes. Sometimes it's hard, right, to find those three nice things. But it makes you at least just flip that mindset of, okay, not everything needs to be negative and nasty. Let's be positive. Let's be happy. Because I would be so sad if I knew somebody was sitting around talking about all the bad things about me, right? Like I'm sure I have a laundry list of things that people are like, why is she doing this and this and this? But if I knew that maybe they would maybe gave me a little bit of that, but then gave me all that grace of, but look at all these wonderful things. It just makes you appreciate people differently, like, and not focus on all the nasty negative, because there's so much around us anyways. Like if we can cut those thoughts out ourselves, how much better is life going to be if we just try a little bit. I mean, it's, and like you've taught us, you can't really control that first thought, but once you have it, be aware of it, and then take ownership and say, okay, how can I change this into a better thing? And I know I've really worked on that, and it's something kind of silly, but I really do. Even in anybody that's bothered me or in some of my hardest times lately, I still try to find the good in those people because it makes a big difference, at least
Absolutely.
in my brain.
It does. It totally does. And I'm so glad you brought that up because one of the things that she said that I it really resonated with me, and I'm sure you guys can relate, is that she talks about how her people, even that she's closest to, there are certain things about them
Mhm.
that drive her nuts, right? She talks about her husband and like some of his qualities that just drive her crazy. She talks about each of her kids and they're good and they're bad. And she said, and she goes, so she's like, there are things about every single person that
Mhm.
you might not care for. She goes, do I love them unconditionally? Absolutely. And but can they drive me crazy sometimes? Absolutely. And stuff. And so
For
she kind of
sure.
talks about like the realness of that, but really, kind of, being real and human and knowing that there are certain things. And I always joke about kind of the 80-20 rule. You should love 80% of your spouse or your best friend or whatever. And there might be 20% that just drive you crazy about that person, and that's okay. There nobody is perfect.
Nope.
No relationship is perfect, whether it's a family member, a friend, acquaintance, whatever. There's always going to be things. And so just having grace and forgiveness.
Mhm.
And, I'm a John Maxwell fan too, and he always talks about, valuing other people and finding the good in them and loving people unconditionally for whoever they are and whatever they are. So I love that. So I'm glad you brought that up about
Yeah.
people.
I think it's really good. And I know you talked about before, we were kind of touching base on it and like focusing on things that are in our control and out of control, which we've talked about before, but I think it would be great as a reminder to people. I know you have a really cool coping skill, or if you, yep, you should definitely tell them about it again because I know there are plenty of times where I'll get overwhelmed and I'm like, okay, just get out a little piece of paper and write it down. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, Susie, oh,
Yep.
there it
Oh,
is.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see it. Yeah.
Yep.
I just drew a circle, but just imagining even that circle of control, it's a very popular therapeutic technique. We use it all the time in therapy. A lot of like they're even teaching it in schools now for kids, thank
Good.
goodness. But yeah, it is it's a circle of control. And if you can imagine anything outside of the circle are things that you can't control, like other people, their reactions, certain life events, the Midwestern weather. Right. It's freezing and then all of a sudden today it's 50. Like
Yeah.
hello, what's happening here? Got to have a foot of snow on the ground. Hopefully it melts today. But there's a lot of things in life we can't control and we rack our brains and we stress out. I mean, in the book she talks about how 7 out of 10 Americans are reporting a huge amount of stress. Like they're unbelievably stressed out. And I totally believe that. I mean, I travel all over the place speaking to people about stress and just how that contributes to our mental health in a negative way and managing it and whatnot. But then kind of getting back to our circle of control, then the inside of the circle, everything we can control. And when we
Mhm.
focus on that, what a powerful and beautiful thing is we
Mhm.
control our reaction to other people. We control our reaction to life in general, certain events that happen. And the saying that says life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it is so, so, so huge, right? Right. And I think too, we jump to conclusions in our brain about how we think that other people are thinking and feeling, and we like make these assumptions when in reality, she talks to in the book, just asking and
Mhm.
communicating. And we're big believers at Country Crossroads Counseling, have conversations about things if you think that somebody, is upset with you. This is how real this is, Lindsay, and that you're gonna appreciate this. You know how we always talk about like to be real on the show.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So yesterday I'm gone speaking, right? And I send you an email really early in the morning, before you, because I know you're gonna meet with the team, right?
Yeah.
And whatnot. And I sent an email and I was like, hey, how you doing? Miss you, whatever. And I like, all the fluff that I always sometimes do if I've got the time to do it. And then when you responded with 3 bullet points. Do you remember this yesterday? And instantly, what was my first thought? Oh gosh, did I do something? Is she mad at me?
Oh no.
Right? But this is how
Sure.
real this stuff is, right? And then I had to like kind of go there. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I did anything. If I did, she knows it
No.
wasn't my intention. So then I was thinking about all the things, right? And I literally used this book and I was like, no, it's okay. It's okay to let them. I'm sure she'll tell me if something's going on. And
Oh
of
yeah.
course, there's nothing because later on you text me, you're like, hey, love, how's it going? But
Yeah.
it's like it's interesting how real
Oh
we
yeah.
are as humans, right? Where we just go there in our mind to be like, oh my gosh, and if you're like me, you're a people pleaser. You
Oh
want
yeah.
everybody to be happy and just, going
Yep.
through life and kosher and good. And so when the boat's a little rocked, you get a little
Yeah.
worried.
You instantly go and you create that narrative and then you follow it. You go down every single path that you think it could be, which I mean, I'm glad you said that though, but it is so true. And in the world we live in today, it's funny because even my kids, if I were to ask them to, hey, call grandma real quick, call nanny, they look at me like, can I just text her? Like they're afraid to like have to use their actual voice, I guess. And I don't and it's easier and I know I'm a texter too, so I totally get it. I will stare at my phone ringing and wait for somebody to text me after. Like that's just kind of the world we're in. But when it comes to, and that's okay. That's nothing wrong with it. I'm whatever. But in when it comes to things like that, where you feel icky or you feel a certain type of way about it, or you're trying to create these narratives and you don't really know, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone,
Yes.
catch them in the hallway if it's a coworker and say, hey, like so many times there are so many things and in all the things in life that we think about it so much more and give it so much more negative light than it actually is. You talk to him. If you'd have called me yesterday and said, "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" I would have been like, "What are you talking about?" I would have had no
Exactly.
idea.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
like it's really cool that you said that because it's so true. 9 times out of 10, that person or the people that you are creating this about have no idea
Hmm.
that you're even going down that path. And then I feel bad because now I'm thinking, how much valuable time did Susie spend yesterday worried about me being upset? I mean, not at all. So yeah, just pick up the phone, have that conversation face to face, being able to see people and talk through things, even if it is an argument or something that you don't agree
Hmm.
upon. I guarantee you're going to come to a better conclusion than if you're firing off emails or texts back and
Hmm.
forth and things like that, especially if you go in with the right mindset. So,
Yep,
um,
yep, and yep, exactly. And a conversation can do so much. You
mhm,
get more information about what's going on,
yes,
and then you can go from there, and it's just beautiful. But so many times people just kind of shove it under the rug. I already had a plan because our friend Mel Robbins helped me. But it was let them, and then
yep,
it's let me. So let
yep,
me, and I already had a plan that I was going to send you a text message, and I was going to say, "Hey, girl, how are things going?" When I was on my drive, and then
yeah.
that's exactly when you reached out to me. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's
so
just
funny.
real life stuff
Yeah.
here, right? And
Hmm.
we're on this journey and we're all about helping. So we always leave our people with a call to action, right? Something that
Yes.
they can use. And so if you want a good read, I highly recommend it. Or like I said, I do Audible. It's just easier and better for me anyways. And download the book. It's so good. And or if you're not going to do that, no worries. Google it, look it up. And then also the next time your mind starts and you feel like emotional, because our thoughts are so closely connected to our thoughts are so closely connected to how we feel. And so recognize how you're feeling, be aware of that, and then go ahead and just say, let them do whatever they're going to do. It probably has nothing to do with you. And
Hmm.
then make sure you say the other part, because that's the power part, is let me respond in a way that's healthy for me and my thoughts. And it just is a really peaceful thing. So I hope you guys can try that the next time.
Oh yeah.
It's so good. So, and we're probably going to talk, as like I said, I'm only chapters in, but I'm going to finish it hopefully this weekend, and we'll report back to how it ends. But hopefully you can learn
I
something from
love
it.
it.
Hmm.
Thanks for sharing it, Susie. And thank you guys so much for following us and listening in. Please reach out if you want to hear anything else or if you have any ideas or topics. We'd love to hear it. We want to be relatable. So when you let us know, that really helps us kind of decide what we're going to talk about. If you want to follow us on Facebook, that's a really great way to follow our business and everything we're doing. We totally love mental health and trying to get that out to everybody. So, Country Crossroads Counseling, and then our website is countrycrossroadscounseling.com. Reach out anytime. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always looking for guests too, and like you said, new topic
Yes.
ideas. So we love you. We hope everybody is staying warm and great wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.